Hey, so today I want to ask you a few questions and I want to share a little bit of a different perspective today. So, when we think about languages and we think about depending on where you grew up, maybe there was a particular preference for a specific accent in your own language, or there was a particular preference for a specific language that maybe had more access to opportunities and more access to respect, frankly. I want you to think about that and think about if there was ever a time where you were talking with someone or you saw a video of someone who had a little bit different accent from you or who was speaking a completely different language from you. Maybe there were subtitles in your language or something. Did you still give the person the opportunity to share their message? Or did you immediately turn your brain off to that person because of their accent or because of the language that they were speaking? If you have a situation where you were chatting with someone and you couldn't quite understand them, or if you know that they have a different accent from you, I want you to notice some of the things that you've maybe learned in your life that have taught you that that accent is lesser than. Or if you heard another language, if you simply turn your brain off to the message that is being told to you. If you do this, I want you to be careful and to realize that these types of systems of judgment and of limitation and of lack of access and of superiority is something that's done on purpose in a lot of communities, because this on purpose is a way of maintaining a hierarchy of who is worth being valued, who deserves respect, who deserves opportunity, and who doesn't. And for me, as someone who loves accents and who loves languages and who realizes that your way of communicating simply tells your story of your background and should have no connection to whether you deserve access to food, access to a good job, access to dignity, access to family support, access to healthcare. For me, you are a human being, and so you deserve that access. But when we look at these systems of these accents, as someone, I speak English as a first language. I have an accent that's objectively neutral for the United States. I also have white skin. I'm a white person. I am also a woman. And so I have automatically, because of what I say and because of how I present and because of the language that I speak, I may have access to more ears and more listeners than someone who speaks a different language than me, or who has a different skin color than me, or has a different gender than me. And we can be sharing the completely same message. If I did this whole video in Spanish, it would get a completely different group of people than if I did it in Portuguese, or if I did it in English in a different accent. There is a hierarchy and a system, especially growing up in the United States, that has shown that if you speak English and you're a white person, then your message is automatically more important than a different language, a different skin tone, a different background. And this is something that I want you to be very careful about with yourself. If you are a person who has been judged, if you are a person who has been put in their place, if you are a person who has not been given opportunity to access, I want you to know it has nothing to do with you. You deserve a job, you deserve healthcare, you deserve access to everything to have a good life. And if the system that is in place that is against you, it is not your fault. You are wonderful as you are, and it is us that are in positions of power that need to speak against that and to try to bring a little bit of humanity back to those who are higher up and who judge, who told me when I was 12, when I wanted to learn Spanish, and they told me, why would you want to learn that? as if learning another language and opening my mind was a negative thing, because I was already born at the top of the linguistic food chain. I was born speaking English. I was born into a privileged level that so many people do not have. And even though that is the top of the chain, there are still people that speak English that are from a different race, that have a different accent than me, that will still find a way to be cruel to non-native speakers, because that already goes down the chain. We have high speaking native speakers, we have maybe mid speaking middle native speakers, and then we have the others. That is a system that is on purpose, that is to maintain a position of power for a higher group, and they are the ones that have the right to more humanity, to more dignity. That is why when we see warfare, when we see conflict, when we see people dying and they are white and they speak English and they are yelling for pain, it is unacceptable. It cannot exist. And courts and systems of power will go to protect them. But when the people that are suffering have a different skin color, speak a different language, have a different accent, then they deserve less. And that's not okay. A child screaming in pain, a child starving to death and calling out for help, it should not matter what language they are speaking, it should not matter what their skin color is. They deserve food and support and access to their families and healthcare. And I hope that as we continue to have this crazy place called the internet and social media, and you have access to videos and people and narratives from people that look differently from you, that speak a different language than you, that have a different accent than you, that you will sit and you will listen and you will open your heart to the message that is being spoken. Because it is easy as a system to shut off and to turn away when you cannot personally identify with that person's reality. Be compassionate. And if you can feel yourself beginning to think either I'm not good enough and I don't deserve that, you do. You're wonderful and you deserve it. And if you are above and you begin to start to look down upon someone else, tap into that. And if you are happy about it, if you are proud of saying I am better than you, then I hope that you look inward and you process some of that. Because that is starting in a position of hate, or if it was something that was programmed in a society that taught you to believe that way. So look inward, know your value, and know that every single human being on this planet that is yelling for help, every innocent child and civilian and mother and grandmother and grandfather and man and human being that is being pressed underneath a system and being limited, they all deserve help and care, whether it be in Rio Grande do Sul, whether it be in Ukraine, whether it be in Gaza, whether it be in Congo, it does not matter. If it is a natural disaster, if it is a human-created disaster, if it is ecocide, if it is whatever it is, every single one of those humans, and the animals, but that's a different story, deserves that protection and that humanity. So think about that today. And I hope to see lots of narratives and stories coming from you in the comments. Remember your compassion, remember your humanity, and remember that you have value, and so does everyone else around you. I hope you have a wonderful day.